Hello, my dear brothers and sisters in the V. Once again, welcome to another episode of In the Zone. You know, I always have this great challenge of addressing a person to whom I owe my life. Basically, because today, what I am is very much because of our founder, our mentor, to me, much more than that, my teacher, a man who has sincerely helped me at a very late age, at a very late age of mine, to change from where I was to where I am, and I hope to, of course, keep on improving. And Dato Sri Vijay, it is such a pleasure talking to you today. I am so humbled.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, David.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Dato Sri. One of the greatest challenges I've always faced, probably from a very young age, is this whole question of anger. And until I met you, anger was my biggest issue. And I remember in the early days in Sri Lanka, you used to always talk to me about controlling the anger from within and actually turning anger into something advantageous for me. And then in your book, The Spear of Silence, you spoke as anger being the biggest enemy. It's the enemy from within. Would you like to just elaborate on that, please? Make us understand about this whole thing about anger.
Let me just address something that you started off. I mean, a couple of times you mentioned age. And I know you've heard this many times. A lot of people say it a lot. Age is a number. You know, I've met some very mature, souls who are in their teens. Are you with me? And they can basically give wisdom. So they say wisdom comes out of the mouth of babes. And this is so true. I mean, sometimes I hear things from the millennials, the teenagers and so on, that I wouldn't have thought about. Some of my thought of the day, comes from a discussion with, my teenagers at home. It's just amazing. At the same time, I've met people who are 60 who believe and behave like teenagers. So age is a totally irrelevant issue, let me assure you.
Thank you.
So, you start when you start, and that your age starts from there. Now, coming back to anger. Anger is like a vehicle. You see, one of the reasons why I had a Ferrari for 10 years. And I learned very fast that having a Ferrari was a lot of pain. Are you with me? In order to drive this car, I had to actually fly to Italy for a few days and spend a few days on the track. And Patman was with me. It was hell. All right? I mean, the car looks beautiful on all of that. But getting behind it and going on the track is one thing. And it's, there's the gears are at the wheel, so everything is very, very fast, very super fast. And it's got a hair trigger on the accelerator. So if you just rest your leg on it, it moves. The weight of your leg is enough to make the car shoot forward. You don't have to press down, you just put it there, it will move. Are you with me? Now this is a problem. Especially as Malaysians, we are used to resting our leg. The accelerator is a place you have to press a little bit, then only it moves, you see. So you can rest your leg on the pedal. This one cannot. You see, so that's a major problem. And when I was out there training in Italy, I had to be totally cool and calm and detached. Because the guy sitting next to me, my instructor, kept pushing me, to go 180, 200, 220, 240, and then I hit 270, and I thought, my life was at its peak. And the guy goes, "Why are you driving like an old lady? This is a Ferrari." Are you with me? And he kept pushing me. Now, the track had one stretch, which was, about, I think, maybe 4 kilometers or so. one long stretch before it hits a curve. And it's a hairpin curve. The rest of the track is all circular. So this long stretch, when you come to the long stretch, you let go. And he wants me to take the long stretch, at 300 and hit the curve and come down to 180. Now, maybe the racing drivers do that. And I totally get it. Why, many of them end up in mental asylums. You push that car to the limit and you see that, hairpin coming to you at a fantastic speed, right? It is approaching you. You actually don't feel you are reaching it. It's like the hairpin is chasing you. And you come closer, you are unable to press, you want to hit the brakes. And the guy goes, speed. Now here's the problem. That's anger. When you're in the wheels of a Ferrari, you want to be in control. Or the Ferrari will be in control of you. And when the Ferrari is in control of you, at that speed, anything you hit will crush like a tin can. Are you with me? And therein lies your challenge. Your anger, like this Ferrari, has to be constantly guarded. You have to be in control. So I learned for the 10 years that I had a Ferrari, I learned very fast that you drive it, but you drive it with great caution. Even when you take it up to speed, you drive it with great caution. So whenever I arrive at my destination using the Ferrari, I'll be driving like this. And I arrive also, I'm already tense. And I have a steel bar in between my shoulders because I just drove the last 5 miles, because it just automatically shoots up to a speed. And then you are in control. You need to be in control. You cannot be upset. You cannot be listening to music. You cannot be doing anything else. If you're trying to do all of that and drive a Ferrari fast, that's too much of a risk. Are you with me? So I was, in a way, with a big sigh of relief, be happy to get rid of the Ferrari. Anger, when it is like that, when it is in the Ferrari mode, you need to be in control, or it will destroy you. It's as simple as that. Which is why you always need a certain level of detachment. Anger needs to be detached. When you are detached, you can drive a Ferrari. When you are angry, upset, in whatever way, emotionally off balance, and you get behind the wheels of a Ferrari, then you need to worry. Therein lies also the same application to anger. See, a word said in anger is like dropping a drop of ink in a glass of milk. It cannot be taken out. That's the problem. People remember what you say in anger, despite the fact you, at that moment in time, probably, did not mean it, did not feel, did not care about it. Nevertheless, it's just like getting in the wheels of a Ferrari, and you did not want, to knock that pedestrian on the side of the road, I'm sure. And it happens. Does that take away the fault, the blame, or the consequences? It doesn't. Are you with me? Hence, anger is exactly the same. Needs to be constantly guarded.
And in the instance, for example, you have done something out of anger, can you ever rectify it?
Life is about rectifying. It's constantly about rectifying, because we are all capable of mistakes. Essentially, we are all capable of making mistakes and repeated mistakes. So the trick we have to learn in order to actually get along in life is the art of rectifying. And that art means apology, sincerity. People will work with you when they recognize that you are sincere. Because we all make mistakes, including, the person who was the victim, so to speak, of your anger. So going back with as much of a sincere, honest approach is the best way. Are you with me? The problem with us is, one said already, oh, cannot take back lah. Are you with me or not? One said already, oh, then you must defend to death. Although you know it's wrong, are you with me? And it's a very Asian thing called saving face. Why save your face, ma? You save your face at the expense of the rest of your body. Remember, the heart is down here. So having a perfect face in the coffin doesn't help. So don't worry about saving face. It's the last thing on your mind. Save heart. I always say, the better way to go about it is save your heart, not your face.
Like saving face, has it got to do with the ego again?
Always. Saving face is a way of saying, oh, what will people say about me? And it really doesn't matter, believe me. If you live according to what they want or need, you will always end up either being frustrated or defeated. Because you will never, ever, be able to appease the so-called crowd. It's when you're not focused on them at all, when you really don't care about them at all, that they start following you. Do you get my point? But when you're super sensitive to them, like most of you sitting here right now, don't want to ask any question because you're worried about the person next to you, you are the only one who will never learn. But if you're asking and constantly asking, regardless of where your place or position is, you will continuously grow. The best way to describe our progress through life is we are going through a room blindfolded. Even if we think we know our way around the room, being blindfolded is a problem. We are essentially blindfolded. So we need direction all the time. So we don't knock into things. Are you with me? Ask, ask, ask. See, a blind man learns very fast to walk through objects with the aid of a stick. That stick is his way of asking. Tap, 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 tap. Are you with me? Ask. And that's the only way forward. Remember one thing, if you're angry, you will never ask. If you're asking, you're not angry. So if you're asking, that's a good place to be. If you're not asking, that's a problem. See, we are always somewhere in between, in different stages of anger. Smoldering, quietly coming up, explosive, and then ballistic. So at different stages of anger, you will never ask. The trick is to learn to ask. Ask, 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 and it's like letting air out of the balloon. Are you with me?
Yes, Dato Sri. There are many people who keep saying about you can turn pain into anger, then anger into motivation, and motivation to success. But I am actually a bit confused with this whole statement of turning pain into anger and then so forth.
The point is, first of all, to differentiate pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. Are you with me? Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. So, inevitably, like for instance, if you're going to go learn a sport somewhere, badminton, hockey, tennis, whatever, there's pain involved. You're going to fall, you're going to get bruises, you're going to, pick up some scrapes here and there, you're going to stretch a muscle, you're going to, get cramps, this, that, the other. It's all pain. But if you love the sport, you won't feel the pain. So even though you're coming back after a totally exhausting game of tennis or whatever, because you love the sport, the actual suffering is not there. Is the pain there? Yes. You're limping around? Yes. So the suffering is a choice. And we learn to differentiate the two, I find life changes. Now, the pain should lead towards where this anger that we are talking about here is basically indignation. It's righteous anger. Are you with me? Why can I not do this?
Okay.
Do you get my point?
Yes.
I've tried to climb the mountain 15 times. I tried to cross this high jump. I reached my limit. I can't cross it again. You do it again and do it again. You fall down, get up again. Fall down, get up again. Try again, try again, try again. There's no shortcut to this process. So that righteous anger, that indignation is on you. Now, anger against you, yourself, is perfectly what you need. It's all right. Are you with me? Push yourself to the point that you break, because you need to break and the muscles need to re-knot, physically and mentally. And it's only when that happens, you will keep pushing and extending, and you will be a different person from who you were. Champions are made out of that. So it is a righteous anger, which is why we call it motivation. That motivates us. Are you with me?
Yes, that's right.
And I still remember a little video that I'll probably be showing somewhere. A little child, she can't be more than 3 or 4. The father is there trying to get her to jump onto a stool. Amazing, right? She jumps and she jumps and she falls and she jumps and she falls. It just keeps on going for 6-7 minutes of watching that poor child go through so much pain. But the child gets angry and more determined, and the father's there giving her all the support. And then finally, when she makes it to the top of that stool, just barely makes it, you're clapping. Are you with me? That is the progression that we all need to go through.
So this process from pain to anger, anger to motivation, success, is a continuous process. One has to just continually push from within. And this pushing from within, is difficult because normally we get so attached to external factors around us, we forget to keep focusing on ourselves. And this is why, for that reason, I found Spear of Silence to be a great tool. How do you advise younger people, Dato Sri, who find it so difficult to just find the time, just even 1 hour, towards giving in to themselves?
Even if they cannot do an hour, I tell them half an hour. If they can't do half an hour, 15 minutes is fine. Heck, if they can't do that, 2 minutes is fine. Start from somewhere, is what I tell them. So it doesn't, we don't need to leap into an hour right away. But the trick is, as you get used to it, as you start doing it, and you start doing it, if you're going to do 2 minutes, then do 2 minutes 5 times a day. Then do 2 minutes, 10 times a day, if you can. Because it's about you getting used to that mode. It's a modality. And the more you get used to it, you'll find the 2 minute expand by itself. It will become 4, and then it'll become 12. And before you know it, you'll be hitting the 12. You'll be hitting the 1 hour. But the trick is to remember that you need to start somewhere, instead of waiting to start. So we have people who said, I can't do 1 hour, so I haven't started. So they say, I look at my time, I got to leave now for work, so I only got 15 minutes, so I won't do it at all today. That's rubbish. You got 15 minutes, you do 15 minutes. Then you owe yourself another 45. And then you get another 15 somewhere. Are you with me? And you get another 15 somewhere. You will always find the time somewhere. And eventually you will start to seek it yourself, because you will need it. It's an adjustment. Are you with me? It's a continuous adjustment. Why do I call it an adjustment? It's like if you're walking across a room blindfolded, and you think you're walking in a straight line. The reality is, most of us who think we are walking in a straight line are walking way out of whack. We are going completely in a different direction. But in our mind, we are still straight. If you really want to test this, blindfold and try. You will think you're walking to the door. Even in this room, if you blindfold yourself and say, I'm going to reach the door, the chances of actually reaching it are very slim. It's easier to see in a swimming pool. You get into a swimming pool and you think you're swimming in a straight line. Especially with your head underwater, you're convinced you're going in a straight line. And the problem is you're not. You see? And if you're doing it in a public swimming pool, then you go and bang into somebody. The trick is to recognize you need to keep keeping your head out of water. So when we swim, we are constantly checking, constantly adjusting. When we are walking without a blindfold, we are adjusting. We don't realize it, but we are constantly adjusting. Are you with me? Now we go to a desert. Now, some of you actually come from countries that have a desert. Malaysians can't imagine a desert, so we will talk to them about a jungle. Same difference. Desert or jungle is exactly the same because the surrounding is so similar. You can get lost in a jungle, you can get lost in a desert. But nobody gets lost in a desert or in a jungle walking in a straight line. They're supposed to walk in a straight line, but what happens if somebody comes on helicopter to find them after, them roaming around for a day or two, they'll find they've done this long circle. Are you with me? In the desert, they're walking, intending to get to their direction, wherever they're going. And after walking for 4, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, they see, footprints. Somebody is walking. I am saved. I just have to follow the footprints. So they follow the footprints until the footprints become 2 sets of footprints. And then 3. So you see, it is because our body is inevitably, slated in a certain way. Our left leg or right leg is stronger. So we will be always walking favoring the strong side. But when our eyes are open and we are checking, we are correcting. So we can walk straight to the door, we can swim straight across because we're constantly checking. So what does this short spaces of mauna or short spaces of spirit of silence do? It's the adjustment. It's a continuous adjustment. Otherwise in life, this is the problem. You think you're going in a straight line and somebody stops you. You get annoyed. Why are you stopping me? I am going in a straight line. So convinced. Are you getting my point? And we get upset and we get annoyed when somebody is trying to correct us. So the trick is to learn to correct yourself. This is where the spirit of silence is valuable.
So very true, Dato Sri. And since 2002, it has really helped me, still very much in the process of correcting myself. And I sincerely thank you. I've got a couple of questions from the audience.
Dato Sri, is anger a good way to motivate us? Or is anger just a way for us to find out that there's something wrong in us that we need to change?
First of all, look at your anger. If it's directed against anyone else, it's destructive. If it's directed against anyone, it's destructive. Even against those that you love. Even if you think you're angry with your children, angry with your brother or sister or whatever, trying to correct them, anger does not help. Now, if it is directed against you, then it's definitely what you need. Most of us are angry against everyone except ourselves. So that's the problem. Easier to get angry against someone else. Now that is a different thing altogether. There are times that you need to show, even as a leader, you have to show that you're angry. But even then, it should be when you're driving a Ferrari. It's like driving a Ferrari. Be very, very cautious. You have to be in control. You can only be angry if you're detached. Like I said, if you're still asking questions, that's a good way to start. All right? So, anger is not something you need for any particular reason. everything can be achieved by directing that same energy to passion. See, anger by itself is destructive, but passion is very useful. So turn that anger into passion, you see, and passion achieves results. Are you with me?
Thank you. There's another gentleman here. Naveen, you have a question?
Dato Sri, when you said control our anger, all right, or be guarded, like you said moments ago, all right, does it necessarily mean that we have to get rid of it? Like how you mentioned that you got rid of your Ferrari 10 years ago.
You will learn, just like driving a Ferrari, you will learn how to drive it. At some point, you will not need it. And that will happen as you evolve. Like I said, I can achieve the same thing that I'm achieving, i.e. with the Ferrari. That same, speed can be achieved using an Aston Martin, for example. Far more comfortable because it's not a sports, a utility vehicle. Therefore, it's more of a street car. So the fact is, in life, you're not going to be always in the sports mode. You're not going to be always in that aggressive mode. If you are a warrior, you're not going to be in battle all the time. Do you get my point? There are times that you need to switch over to training mode. So when you're in training mode, it's passion that's more important. So that's the same source that gives you that energy can give you the same passion. And again, the sphere of silence, or mauna, helps you identify. In mauna, when you sit around quietly for any length of time, it's difficult. It looks simple, after all. You just sit down for 10 minutes. Sit down for 10 minutes to do what? I mean, you can sit in a movie theater for 2 hours, no problem, because your mind is occupied with the movie. Here you're sitting down for 10 minutes and trying to focus the mind on something that actually has purpose in your life, directing it. It's not easy. But eventually, you will get better at it. And it will also start, answering questions. See, most of your answers are within you. So, the same question that you're asking repeatedly, like this question you're asking me right now, will be answered. You will find that answer for yourself. My answers that I found are not necessarily yours. You need to find your answers. And your answers meaning questions that you raise to yourself. And these questions will improve, will evolve. And by improving, they get answered. So it's a process you start with, and you will get better at it.
Amazing, Dato Sri. I always appeal to the younger generation, in fact, to everyone in our QI family, to use this greatest gift you've given us, the SOS, this practice of sphere of silence, to empower ourselves. And I believe that is one of the greatest gifts I've ever received in my life. I thank you so very much for giving us this opportunity and for being in the zone, for us, allowing us to be in your zone. Thank you, Dato Sri.